Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi ho everybody and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly, the show where we talk about shows exclusive to Disney Plus episode by episode, week by week. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Tennell, Griffin D-Pad, and with me as always is the wonderful, the amazing, the excellent Mr. Major George. How are you doing tonight?
Magneto was right.
Magneto was always right. I need to find the goddamn t-shirt. But I have lost it. I do not know if I have it anymore. I think it ended up in a Goodwill pile.
That's too bad. I guess you're just gonna have to go buy the new version.
Yeah, the one that at Disney will inevitably sell.
No, it'll be Etsy.
I mean, I'm always going to buy the Etsy shop version of anything over a Disney proper one. Like, I literally just got 2 new Disney shirts, and I love them because they are not made by Disney. They were both Etsy, which is a great place to be buying fun Disney stuff instead of actually buying from the corporation itself. Anyways, what's up? We're talking about X-Men 97, Episode 6, not Griffin buys t-shirts, which is honestly just every day. I buy too many t-shirts.
Where's our Discord thing? I'm just gonna drop this in here for you for after the show.
Oh no, you're sending me things that I'm gonna want to buy, aren't you?
You're welcome. Yeah, we're here to talk about X-Men 97, Episode 6, Life Death Part 2.
I'm distracted.
Which was not just Life Death Part 2, which surprised me.
Oh, that was the shirt I had.
Oh, well, there you go. I fully expected this to just be the Storm and Ford show, but no.
Same.
It opens on the goddamn Shi'ar Kree war.
Of course, folks, full spoilers for this episode.
Oh, yeah. My bad.
It's all right. You spoiled the first 2 seconds of this
I was going to
show.
say.
But I had a message that I sent to you that I want to recap here. But yeah, this show is fantastic as always. Go watch the episode, come right on back if you don't want no spoilers. Anyways, the message I sent to you is, turns on show expecting Storm and Demons. Starts with Deathbird and Ronan. Not
There was
who I
an
was
expletive
expecting.
in there.
Well, yeah,
There was an
but
expletive in there.
we're a somewhat family-friendly show. Emphasis on somewhat. No, that was seeing this start off and having everything about with Professor X popping up, seeing the Kree-Shi'ar war, seeing Deathbird, seeing another Summers. I can't remember this kid's name to save my life at the moment. But yeah, seeing all the Shi'ar again in this new art style, I did not think we were going to see them until like a post-credits episode 10 kind of deal this season.
I did expect to get Xavier rejoining the team at some point, so I did expect there was going to be some Shi'ar. It wasn't just going to be, hey, look, I'm back on Earth. Like, there was going to be some story there, and I'm glad we got it this early, because it does make sense knowing where we're going for next week with the end of this episode. Like, holy fuck. Also, called it. Super called it. Just putting it out there. The receipts are in last week's episode.
Oh, yeah,
the
like
Sinister? 3 days ago. I called it.
Oh, yeah, you were right. I was thinking way too
If you
far.
think there's something else there, and we'll probably get to that in the speculation towards the end, but it does make sense, kind of the way they've laid this out, of like these events happen at the same time as Motendo. So Storm is finding out about the events of Genosha at the end, brings her back to the team. Presumably, we're going to get an episode of what's going on with Trask and Sinister, and at the end of that, it's going to have Xavier rejoin the team. Then we get their big 3-part finale. So I did expect it somewhere around this point, either this episode or next week, and I'm glad we got it here, because I didn't really, like I told you, I didn't vibe on the idea of splitting up the Life Death episode, but
now that we've seen it, I totally vibe with it.
I don't understand why this wasn't also another split episode. Like, they went back and forth.
I think going back and forth,
same thing of like, here's the Shi'ar stuff, here's the Life Death stuff.
See, I think going back and forth was very good for playing on where Professor X is at and where Stormer is at, and how these two storylines, both of them being separated away from the X-Men partially because of frankly health issues, and partially because of their love for somebody else, and watching those two kind of different situations play off of each other, like in seeing like Storm's combat was very much with herself, like she had to deal with things herself, whereas Professor X had to explain things to others. Like, I think that those
deal
two,
with the politics of it.
those two storylines are very parallel to each other, and I think that they do a good job of bouncing back and forth. For what it's worth,
Yeah.
quickly, the character's name I was thinking of is Vulcan Summers. And you might wonder, why the hell are there so many Summers people? We've been wondering that for years. The Marvel just cannot stop adding people to the Summers family. But Vulcan Summers, Gabriel Summers, sorry,
Yeah, Gabriel
is
Summers, known as Vulcan.
is another brother to Scott and Alex. He was the child that Scott's mom was pregnant with when she was kidnapped by the Shi'ar. I don't think they've confirmed in Marvel, in X-Men 97 or in the original, if she was kidnapped by the Shi'ar. I know she was just kidnapped. But
I did recently rewatch that, but I can't remember in the episode what I don't even think they get into it being a kidnapping. It was just like, we're in space now.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, they talked about it in the season, the last of the final season. Yeah, but it was weird, and obviously we don't remember it too well. But just an interesting side character. Maybe something in the future. Destiny is also there, so maybe something in the future. I would hope so. I kind of love these characters, especially Destiny. But yeah, these two storylines together were really well, especially one being very magic heavy and one being very tech heavy. Selfishly, I love seeing that stuff. Seeing Forge use the magic that he desperately did not want to use, and it looking like an animated version of Doctor Strange's magic in the MCU.
Again,
so cool.
I have a lot of thoughts in that we're getting Deadpool and Wolverine later this year.
Sometime this
year.
It's
this summer?
It's our one Marvel movie this year, right?
Yeah. I fully expect that movie to be the one that canonizes all of this in the Marvel multiverse and part of it all coming together. Because it fully feels like, that magic is all grounded in the same realm as Strange's stuff, and it makes sense that they're creating some of these tie-ins now, even though for decades now these things haven't really coexisted, but they're going to need to after the events of Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it's only going to look better in hindsight once that movie comes out.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that this is one of the best things Marvel's put out since establishing Marvel Studios and whatnot. Like we have I don't think I've talked to anyone who doesn't love this show. Mind you that there are some low points, like people didn't love the Nintendo stuff, but like I was talking to someone at the comic book store today. Wednesdays quickly becoming my favorite day of the week because new comics and new Disney Plus TV shows.
New X-Men 97, yeah. I gotta watch the last couple episodes of Bad Batch too, because we'll get to that once that season wraps up.
Yeah, but he was like, "Yeah, I hated the Nintendo stuff," and I'm like, "I don't agree." But it's definitely the lowest point of the show. I think every point of the show has been fantastic and amazing.
Yeah, I think if someone told me, like, it's similarly to... Okay, so we're living in a wonderful media world right now. Everything else is on fire. But when it comes to media that we're consuming, we've got Fallout that just came out. We've got this. We're going to get Deadpool in a couple of months. Lots of great movies, lots of great TV coming out. And it's very similar to the conversation I think people are going to have about video game adaptations with Fallout having just come out, where if you told me you liked Fallout more than any other video game adaptation that's ever come out, I would totally understand. If you tell me that Nintendo is something that you didn't vibe with, I totally understand. If you tell me that there's anything in here that you didn't quite vibe with, I would get it, because they're telling the story. Like, this week specifically, I'm like, this is fine. But also, I'm really digging the Shi'ar stuff more than the Storm stuff, because I do think them splitting that up kind of lessened the impact of both the relationship between Storm and Forge, where it kind of felt like, yeah, she's like, I love you. I'm like, y'all have been together like 2 weeks. I get it, like fast romance, but like still your horses.
Mm-hmm. I think this relationship is a little longer than we realized. I think the issue here is less them being split up into this two parts of this episode, and more remember it being in between the two parts.
That too, I think,
remember, it is a fantastic episode. It should be that episode 5 mid-season point, because it's great for that. But yeah, splitting up this is going to lessen, especially the relationship of Forge and Storm, because there's a whole montage in that first section of their relationship. So to make it believable, which is totally forgotten about when you're sitting down watching this episode.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. But I do think you needed remember it before this, because the events of that need to be the catalyst to bringing Xavier and Storm back to the team.
Yeah, I think
Right.
my main issue here is still them splitting Life Death up into two parts.
Yeah, but it still had to happen after Remember It.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, a lot of this, like, there's so much to talk about in both sections of this, and I think the two big things for me were everything in the astral plane. That astral plane scene was so
fun.
good. Xavier finally getting to the point of like, what the hell am I doing? I am a teacher. I'm going to teach. Giving us one of my favorite Professor X speeches that we've gotten. I think this one was really, really special. Especially the part when when they're talking about, hey, might is right. The rhyme that sells the lie.
That was so good.
Especially right now. X-Men has always been one of those things. Well, not always, but X-Men largely has been one of those things where it is consistently relatable to whatever state of the world we're in, because the world will always has violence. It always has racism, sexism, bigotry. Especially right now, the idea of might is right being so radically incorrect is huge. And actually seeing that here, like, no, it's wrong. Here's all the reasons it's wrong. Here's all the reasons that you are causing suffering. I love
I think
seeing
the other
that
thing,
in
but
this.
yeah, the other thing before we get off of this, I do think that whole sequence with Professor X and the astral plane is great. I just think we really need to shout out the actor behind Professor X here, because it isn't the original actor from the series. This is Ross Marquand, who's taken over the role of Professor X. And I mean, he's a name that we've talked about more than once. He's been in What If as Ultron. He's been in Invincible as the Immortal. He had a pretty big role in later seasons of The Walking Dead. He replaced Hugo Weaving in the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame films. This dude, his range is just out of this world, and he does a great job here recreating the vibe and the performances of the original actor in the 90s X-Men show. And just another shout out to, just a phenomenal actor that we've gotten to experience multiple times throughout all of this Marvel and just television movie
He's great.
goodness.
I also want to shout out Morla Garandana, who voices Lilandra. Not the original voice actor. Original voice actress was Camilla Scott. She does a fantastic job in this as well. It's a very emotional episode for your first go with a character, and both of them knock it out of the park.
On top of that, Alison Seeley Smith reprising her role as Storm from the original X-Men animated show. Absolutely killing it. Like, that is one of the most iconic voices, I think, in all of animation. And I think this episode especially
The use of the adversary and using her voice.
Oh my God. And the adversary voiced by Alison Seeley Smith.
Yeah.
Like, it's we've seen Aurora have to deal with this stuff in the original show with the Shadow King stuff. And those insecurities and that inability to fully embrace who she is has been a large part of this character throughout the show. So to see both the, psychological and physical transformation that she goes through over the course of this series so far has been really great. And just shout out to the wardrobe change. I can't wait to see that in the intro next
I want
week.
to talk more about this I want to talk more about Aurora's story in depth, but I want to finish our talk on the Shi'ar stuff first, just because, it does make sense to me in the episode to go back and forth. It does not make sense to go back and forth when talking about it.
We can wrap that and then get into the Aurora stuff.
Because I also want to talk about Deathbird and the Royal Guard and the actual characters that we see in the Shi'ar Empire. Not characters we have seen before, but all of them. We've seen Gladiator and such. But seeing I don't think we've seen this much of the Shi'ar in quite some time, seeing their religion, seeing their politics, seeing their people, and seeing that they are a conquering nation. The Shi'ar are not necessarily good guys, neither are the Kree, neither are the Skrulls. None of these alien forces in Marvel have ever been explicitly good or bad. Most of them have been conquerors, frankly. So actually getting to see that in this show, I hope they'll do more with it. I would love to see more of the Kree in X-Men.
We got goddamn Ronan in this episode. No one's talking about it.
We thought Ronan got his ass kicked, and it was great.
Rightfully so. I do think, the brutality of some of these alien. Oh my God, when they're in that council too, there's that one moment where it's like, he's not even Terran, which shout out for using the term Terran and not human. He's not even Terran. He's less than that. He's sub-Terran. He's a mutant. Like that bigotry, that hate, that vitriol for mutant kind carries through even in space, and is going to even more so justify this heel turn that Scott Summers is going to take before the end of this goddamn season. And I cannot wait for evil Scott Summers.
What's the line that Deathbird has? Like, Milky Way ghetto?
Milky Way ghetto, yeah.
It was just like, we're really hammering home this point that, like, they hate Earth.
I mean, do you blame them?
No.
Most of their problems stem from Earth, and it's also the home of a whole bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. Not to mention everything with the Phoenix.
There was that too, yeah.
Even though the
That
Phoenix
was
is
just
kind
the
of
Phoenix
their
passing
fault.
through.
Even though the Phoenix is kind of their fault, and I stand by that. Yeah, everything about the Shi'ar stuff was so cool to me. Everything about Storm stuff was equally cool to me. I just want to wrap this up first. Any last thoughts on Shi'ar before we jump to Storm?
Just that all the powers look dope and the fight scenes were great. And there's this one very anime frame. It's blink and you miss it moment where Ronan is, having this whole soliloquy towards Deathbird, and Gladiator punches him in the side of the head, and everything goes black and white, and he flies off into the wall. I'm just like, this is great. This is anime as shit, and I love it.
Yeah, it was good. I thought about one more thing. Finally seeing Professor X's powers in this was so great. Seeing that. And then just everything about him being a teacher, like him having the apple and stuff, and him giving out demerits. Very fun, very wonderful. Anyways, moving to Storm. The much darker of these two parallels here, with everything with the adversary. Forge kind of sending the adversary back, but also then kind of not because of the poison, and her having to fight her claustrophobia, only to get one of the most badass costume reveals ever. I like that going into this, we were like, okay, so they're probably going to depower Storm a little bit in here. No, I'm pretty sure they made her more powerful.
Yeah, it's scary, and I don't know what's going to happen now, but maybe they needed it for some reason going into this crazy finale of a season that we're going to get.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe they realized that depowering Storm is kind of stupid. Just saying.
I mean, there's also that, yeah.
Storm is, and always will be the most badass of the X-Men. And I love that we really got to see that here. Slightly disappointed that we still don't have the Mohawk, but I'll take it for the big hair, the classic 90s outfit.
Yeah, I love this costume specifically for Storm. I think if you look at my Marvel Snap collection, I had to bring it up at least once, I'm sorry. The variant that I use of Storm is very reminiscent of this costume. I just think it makes her look like a badass.
I'm honestly kind of surprised
Empress.
you haven't mentioned Marvel Snap more.
Look, I'm trying to do better.
Are you, though?
No. It's taken over my life, Griffin. I can't stop.
Yeah, I think Forge definitely plays kind of a backseat role in this story, but at the same time, I think he kind of should. Like his part in this is very much supporting of. He has his moment with the magic, and even he says like, I learned some of it even against my best wishes or whatever it was. Against my best attempts, I think is closer to what he said. But like I like that we got that stuff from him. I like that Storm was the main focus of this. Her actually having to fight the adversary, and none of it ever being physical, was one of my favorite things this show has done. We don't need combat to have a fight. No. And that's something I think X-Men has always been very strong about. So to see it here done the way it was done was very cool.
So, segue or side conversation, because I forgot to talk about it off the top. The intro of the episode. We didn't talk about that at all. Where I mentioned earlier, it's going to be great to see Storm in her new outfit in the intro. Some of the things they've been doing with the intro of this show has just been incredible. When characters come and go, when characters change. So like when Madeline Pryor was replaced by the real Jean Grey, the Jean in the intro went from having her hair down to having her hair up, the way Jean has been wearing it.
Yeah.
We now have Magneto and Gambit falling off of the intro. May they rest in peace. But we also get a very interesting addition in the intro, and we both called it last week, of Nightcrawler joining the team full time. And that looked dope with the swords and everything. Like, yes, we're getting swashbuckler Nightcrawler. Let's go.
I skipped the intro this week.
You never skip the intro.
I was rushed, okay?
You never. No, it doesn't matter. You never skip the intro to an X-Men animated show. At least this one. I don't really care as much about Evolution or Wolverine.
I was gonna say Evolution. Intro, they don't have iconic. What's funny is like this ringtone.
I kind of like the Evolution one. It's very like.
It's very early
2000s X-Men.
Yeah, we'll talk about it eventually. Yeah, no, I skipped the intro this week. I was rushed for time. I was watching this while working.
Go back and watch it right now. I watched it over lunch. I get it.
Okay, I'll go back right now in the middle of the episode and watch it.
No. I totally sidetracked us. Let's go back and talk about Storm and Forge. But there isn't much more to say.
There isn't much more to say. I thought the actual animation of it was beautiful. Even like that moment when like the adversary is showing like the demonic faces of the X-Men. Super dope.
That was creepy.
It reminded me of that one episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender with like the face guy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't watched Avatar.
What the hell, man?
You skipped the intro to X-Men 97.
That's nothing compared to not having watched Avatar.
Is it on Disney Plus?
No. It doesn't matter.
There you go.
It does not matter. The goodness of Avatar: The Last Airbender transcends the bullshit that is different segmenting things by different companies.
I'm gonna make you hate me.
Oh no. What have you?
Because you know what I'm gonna say.
I know what you're gonna say. Just say it.
The only Avatar media I have consumed to its completion
is the M. Night
Shyamalan film.
I don't hate you for that. I pity you for that. So.
Oh, that reminds me. I'm still gonna watch that stupid Final Fantasy movie.
Yeah, but that's our next episode. We really should record that. No, I think that's all we have to say about the Storm the Forge stuff. So I think we can segue to our final bit of this with Sinister. Where the hell was that?
I don't know.
Like, it looked almost Savage Landy, but also there was like
maybe Muir Island.
Maybe. You want to know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the second Kingsman movie. The very end place.
That island that they've kidnapped Elton John to?
Yeah, like it very much felt like that for some reason.
Country roads, take me home.
Yeah,
you can figure out the rest. I don't want us to get claimed.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah, I don't know where that place is, but yeah, I'm really liking. I like that they're using Sinister. I like that they're sticking to that.
I do ultimately think that he's working for somebody else. Where Sinister is in the end game of this, they'll get to the idea of Sinister being the one pulling the strings of Trask, but who's pulling Sinister's strings? And I think that'll be the conflict that we deal with in the last 3 episodes. I don't think Sinister is enough to carry an arc across 3 episodes, to be perfectly honest. There's got to be more to the story. They've already curveballed us 3 or 4 times throughout this show. This, lead into Sinister in the next episode is, the catalyst for the X-Men hunting down Trask, finding out Sinister's behind it, and ultimately over the course of those 3 episodes, finding out that it's not just Sinister.
Mm-hmm. He does have that line where he's like, "This is only the beginning of my plans. Just trust in Sinister." And I'm very interested to see what's next. Using E for extinction as the start of all of this. Like,
I mean, we all remember what came after that.
Unfortunately.
Cassandra Nova?
Well, no, Cassandra Nova was a part of E for Extinction originally. So.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, if they're doing E for Extinction, it might make sense that maybe Cassandra Nova is the one pulling the strings.
See, I think they might establish Cassandra, but I mean, I don't.
Or maybe as a big bad in a future season.
Because here's the thing about Cassandra Nova is she's a great villain, but it doesn't make sense to introduce her until Xavier is fully reestablished within the X-Men.
Well, and that's why I'm thinking it might be something that they lead into towards the finale as part of this 3-episode arc, and not necessarily something they get to this upcoming week, but something that is revealed over the next little bit with Xavier having rejoined the team.
See, maybe I'm just crazy, but it feels like a season 2 villain for me. I
We'll
think
see.
I think Sinister is going to. I like that we're switching on this, as opposed to last week. I think Sinister is going to be the full big bad for this. I think they're going to stick with that decision, and
Yep.
really blow things out of the water in season 2 on that regard.
We shall see.
But I'm very interested to see what happens next. Maybe they'll make Scott the full villain for season 2. I still think we're getting that heel turn. This show's great, man. I love this show.
We're so lucky to exist in a world that contains this, Fallout, the Kingsman movies, Final Fantasy media that isn't Spirits Within, apparently, even though I've never seen it. we're raking it in. Bluey exists. People are really into that Bluey thing.
The damn episode. Look, this sign came out. I was expecting to be sad. I wasn't expecting to be as sad as I was.
That was me watching the Blues Clues reunion, and I'm just going to tell you that.
I refuse to watch that because I know I will cry.
And on that
note, Mitch, where can people find us?
at D plus us, wherever you find us on the internet, at GriffyDpad is Griffin. That's GRIFFIDPAD. I'm all over the internet at Mr. Mitch George.
Yeah, find those out. Check out our other episodes. We will be back next week for the next episode of X-Men 97. But until then, have a magical day.
Excelsior.